It is harder than you think to look at your kid's stupid binder every day.
Welcome to Not Right Now, the podcast about parenting through all of this. Welcome back. Everything's great. How are you? Am I allowed to say you look lovely today?
Thank you. Well, sure. I got a professional family photo done last weekend, so I was on a facial journey. So I was like, let's do the whole thing.
Can I ask how those went?
Good. Actually, it's a woman who did our wedding and like our engagement photos. And this is, I think, the third or fourth round with us. And the last time she took pictures of us, James was not yet diagnosed with ADHD. It's kind of funny, but also sort of sad. Like you can see the tension in a lot of our faces. And so they went fine. The nice thing is it's awkward at first. It's just really weird to behave as if we like really hang around each other this much, but I didn't get mad and nobody got mad. So I thought
that's
it went
amazing.
Quite well. Yeah.
We've done the same thing. I was actually just remarking to my wife last night. There was a picture on the wall about how she claimed when we booked our wedding photographer that it came with engagement photos. I don't believe it still after all this time, but we've actually done the same thing. The most amazing young woman 15 years later has done a few of ours. Often I tell people, hey, these are happening. And no one listens to me until the day of. And then everyone's mad that the children don't have outfits and things like that, even though I tried. But what are you going to do?
Yeah. The night before was our block party. And I was talking with some other moms about it. And they were like kind of joking, kind of not. They're like, what is everyone wearing? And I was like, I don't care. It's walking in that line of being like, who fucking cares? Like, I don't care. But then you're like, well, here we are still paying quite a bit of money for these photos. So, care a little bit. So don't wear like your most food covered shirt. But
I think that's where, as far as you're recognizing, like picking your battles, it's more about no than it is yes. I'm going to say no to 9 out of 10 of the things my children surface from wherever the fuck it is, like the bottom of their swim bag to try to wear. And then whatever that 10th thing is like just what we got. It's not a no.
Yeah, this will be a Christmas photo and it was 76 degrees. So we're not going to wear our autumn knits. When you get our Christmas card, you'll be like, everyone's wearing shorts, but also we got some headshots done. And then also we do that very basic thing, you blow up family photos to like big size and then put them on the wall. But seriously, the last time we did that, like I work out at home a lot and I was like looking at these pictures of this phase where I was like, I remember this was like not a happy day. So like, let's like redo this. So all that is to say, that is why, my face looks so beautiful.
It's perfect. That's great. Thank you for the explanation. I described myself the other day as melting from the inside. So if you're wondering how that's going health-wise. But I love that we weren't actually mad at each other this time because our house is plastered with photos and there is a fucking story behind each one where you're like, someone in this picture is full of rage or even at least some spite. Most of the time it's my fault, to be clear, like 1000%. And not in the ADHD way, in the like trying to control every aspect of it way until everyone's just like, well, this isn't fun anymore. Shocker.
She'd make you guys look awkward, or she's like, this feels more like you, and yeah, it was fine. So we got it done. Yeah. And then we had a late start of school this morning. And so we like relaxed and watched the Project Runway, which was a long commercial for Wicked 2, by the way. So what is happening? What's the role of that in everyone's life?
The role is we can see some things coming. It hasn't started in earnest. And I think we all know at this point what like in earnest means after last year, which is, who is the Supreme Court judge? You'll know it when you see it. When it's here, you'll know. We're getting there. You're starting to see things like Dancing with the Stars that they're going to do a whole week around. I mean, it's.
I see it on the cereal boxes at the store.
Already?
Oh, yeah.
I don't go to the stores. So, oh boy. Okay. Then I guess it started. I don't fucking know. I know when we asked at one point about the marketing and merchandising stuff, they said it'll be about 50% more than last year. And we're like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
Where else
I was telling the boys because Paul was watching it with me and they had $1,000 to take to the fabric store and everyone's plotting because that's so much money. And Paul was like, is that a lot of money? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, but really, people who make this movie are not going to let these designers make some shitty, cheap ass looking. They're going to the nicest fabrics, the most time nobody anything down that would look anything other than perfect to make you go see this movie, which is like
correct.
Bad. This is the truth,
Yeah. So it's coming. We are actually, starting to build the calendar. It'll be crazy, but it'll be fun.
How was Dana's birthday? What did you guys do last night? What did you get her?
Well, I really loved your comment here. You said, Dana birthday. Do parents have birthdays? And, that's what I was wondering at the end of the day yesterday. At the end of her birthday, I was like, I mean, you know how we've tried not to compare ourselves to our younger selves because it's not fair, different life, all that stuff. But I was like, I usually pride myself on these things. And I mean, it was, I don't know, the effort, I'll give myself a B+, which is not great for me. Outcome, to me, I mean, I'm pretty harsh about it. I'd say a C. She said it was fine, but I don't know.
What did the family do? And then what did she do for herself?
Well, here's some background. Let's see. All she wanted was a bath, and our hot water doesn't work. And it's not going to work again because we're starting a home renovation in 2 weeks, and I told them just not to fix it. So there's that.
Never forget Father's Day.
Yeah. That's right, motherfuckers. Let's see. We did like family birthday dinner the night before because we just had too much shit going on her actual birthday night. And it doesn't fucking matter. Is it something? Did we get something done? Sure. Clearly the bar is low in our family at this point. So that was nice with the grandmas, and we did a little cake, and the kids made their cards, shit like that. Then day of, it was a school day. Like we did breakfast in bed as per our tradition, but it was like a full 2 hours before she usually wakes up. So I don't know how pleasant that actually was.
Sure.
We're just like, thank you for this like warmed toast and crumbs in the bed, but clearly none of you have brushed your teeth and the bus is coming in 5 minutes. So
yeah.
Great. I don't know if that's better or worse than when it was like, I would throw like toddlers in the bed and they were disgusting and they would just start crying immediately because it wasn't about them, which I'm sure we'll get to when we get to actual puberty as well. But, nobody got hurt, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. And then, it was a work day. And then she came home to more not hot water and I had to remind her of that. So, I think it was fine.
Gifts from you, gifts from the kids. You guys don't do gifts? What's your gifts?
We do. I didn't participate in whatever the kids got her this year. That was not my role. We have a lot going on. So I didn't totally participate. I got her this really nice set, the most dangerous website I involved myself in, which is saying something. The only one, the most dangerous one I don't use a private browser for. Let's put it that way. It's called Folio Society. I think it's Folio Society. It's fucking fancy reprints of books, of like nice books. And my wife, she had this wonderful sort of fake grandma in her life that she grew up near. And this woman, whenever she would get a little money, she would buy herself, which at the time, was not terribly expensive, reasonably, and she knew they were an investment, Jane Austen first editions.
Wow.
And she only had a few of these. And again, she bought them in like the 60s, in the 70s. She had them, and so my wife kind of grew up around those. They're much more expensive now, so we're not doing that. And those went to her actual family. But this Folio Society is like just in, I think, 250th anniversary, either anniversary of publishing or Jane Austen's birthday, unclear, put out a very fancy version of all 5, 6 the novels. And I got her that. And it's, like hand printed shit in Italy and whatever. I don't know. It's fun. Cool. She'll never read them because she's dyslexic and she uses, a special font for that, but it's there.
Yeah. Well, she can look them over and touch them. And I don't know. That's awesome.
We're trying not to do like stuff because all we're trying to do is get rid of stuff. But what about you guys? Do you still do like, is a birthday thing? I feel like 5 years ago, we were like, birthdays are a week long in this house and there's all kinds of, and this, and now it's, I don't know, man.
You mean for parents? We are in a blissful season right now where in my family, all the birthdays are squinched mainly in the springtime. So we are like right now, I'm not remotely thinking about it. Like Steve's is very inconvenient because it's like right after Christmas. It's January 10th. So like he kind of gets like a little piece broken off of his Christmas haul, and I think I used to try to differentiate more, but who has time?
Truly.
And my birthday is April 15th. I like to get myself like a massage on that day, maybe choose dinner. But no, I do think about, because I'll be 50 in 4 years. Is that right? Something like that. And what do you do for that? I can't even imagine having the wherewithal to gather the brain cells. A couple of years ago, I was like so over everyone. And I don't even remember what was happening at the time, but I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And I found a perfect little Airbnb, 1-person house, like on the Fox River in Illinois, like just to be alone. And that was great. And so I don't need that every year, but that was like me really being like, this is what I need.
Well, and I think family members should hopefully be able to read the room and tell when that is. And that is usually the case with ours, where I will fucking send her away by herself or with a friend. Last year, I think I brought a friend down from New York and I was like, you're here, but you don't have to be here. Like, you guys do whatever the fuck you want. You know, you want to
Yeah.
actually see the children, like, great. I don't know why, but do it. We just didn't work middle of the week and everything else going on.
Yeah.
But that's it. For me, I'm always like, I would like the little breakfast in bed thing, 2 to 3 minutes with the children and maybe a picture, but then I'd also really like to just be alone with my book for a while.
I'd like to be acknowledged. I have learned the hard way. I remember I was pregnant with James. Paul was a toddler. Steve was like, I think I have to work. Will you be mad if we don't do something for your birthday? And I was like, no. And then I was like, later on crying hormonally. But, you know, it's whatever. I'm sure it's easy for her to get lost in the shuffle with back to school. Like, how is that going for you guys so far?
It is, yeah. It's less dramatic than last year. Nobody started middle school this year, which is a win. They've all aged considerably. Yeah, for better or worse. Mostly better, I think. They're just like often different people, which is wild. But back to school has otherwise been fun. I mean, my daughter, you know, she had to pick an instrument. She picked the violin. I was like, that's great, but best wishes. Hasn't practiced once. Refuses. She's like, oh, they told us we're not allowed to practice yet. I was like, I'm sure that's what they fucking
hilarious.
said. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they fucking said. Hey,
like
you have to have a violin by 4 Tuesdays ago, but do not practice at home, whatever you do.
That's like when James said it didn't matter. You weren't required to finish the book that you're doing. Like,
Totally. That's how it was when I grew up. Yeah, don't
Like,
worry
really-
about it.
I was like, you must think I'm pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah, fucking unreal, man. But I'm like, okay. I mean, you picked it. I told you could have picked fucking percussion like your dumb brothers and me, or literally anything else. So good luck. Yeah, it's fine-ish. You know, we are in this situation, I think we've talked about before. Our schools decided sort of during COVID and then kind of kept it going. They're not really doing homework. And I will share it in the show notes. You know, for folks like us, who can be home, are home a lot, 2 parents, things like that. Kids don't have a lot of health issues, stuff like that. The research really goes both ways as to whether homework is beneficial. And you can look at it in isolation, but it's important to also, like anything with a family or an education or diet, to look at it as part of the whole program, which is, sure, maybe they can get something out of it to an extent, but is that taking away from boredom time, free time, sleep, most importantly, family time, stuff like that? And for this school district, they're doing all right as far as like kids learning in the classroom. The teachers really encourage everyone to do flashcards at home if you want, but definitely read at home and stuff like that, and do interactive things. That's really helpful to us. So that makes the back to school easier for sure, is knowing we're not flipping that switch on as well as activities and shit like that. So that's been helpful. That's been helpful.
It's interesting that you
For
bring
sure.
that up, because last night was back to school night, aka curriculum night, where you go and like briefly meet the teachers and they show you like what they go over. And Steve's out of town right now, and the boys both have football. And I just was like, I'm gonna find out this information somehow. Like, I'm usually very good about doing whatever it is, but I was getting some like screenshots yesterday from the group chat about how you monitor your grades or your kids' grades, whether it's through Google Classroom or this other platform that they have. And I just like, I didn't want to say it on the chat because like I've learned that this chat, it's not non-witchy, but you know, it's not all the way witchy. But I'm like, I really want to be like, bitch, I cannot. Whatever happened to just getting a report card quarterly and maybe like the teacher like giving you a heads up like in between, being like, you know, and it is harder than you think, especially if you have a job and other tasks and maybe whatever. We could talk about this later, but like cognitive labor, it is harder than you think to like look at your kid's stupid binder every day. I don't know why that is.
It's fucking
a bridge
relentless.
too
We're
far.
literally renovating our house so that we're better able to do that. And I still don't want to fucking do it. No, it's a lot. And again, we're lucky to be able to like, I'm sure they're fine. And again, well, as I've talked about, I have gotten the phone calls in the middle of the day, the teacher being like, my class is actively still going on. I just need you to know I moved your kid's desk for the 4th time. And I will intervene on that respect. And they come home and I go, I got the call. Here's the deal. Don't fucking do that again. You're making their job harder. It's disrespectful. And that's like that's like a red line for me. You get a B on something or fucking C, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I filled our house with books and shit, and you got good genes. Like, work harder. I don't know what to tell you. But the other shit, we're, you know, again, lucky to be able to say it, but trying more and more to be like, the effort and like being a good fucking human is what matters, you know?
Yeah.
So no, I don't need to check their grades every fucking day.
Oh, well, because Steve had, I mean, I'm lucky for Steve because he is way more patient than I am with things like schoolwork and sleep stuff. And James, you know, after 2 weeks of I don't have homework. Oh, he does have some project that involves archaeology, of course. And so Steve sits with him and does it. But of course, James doesn't want to. So he's being an asshole. And Steve's like, why are you, I'm helping you, and it's easy for me to say because I'm hands off. So I'm trying not to but I was like, what if he just does a shitty job for the rest of it? What if you don't make him rewrite it, just so he can see what it, I have a friend who I was texting with over the week who her kid was in the same boat and she was doing his thing. And, I wanted to be like, how are you going to let this go for next time? So this isn't going to be your whole school year because that's insane for everyone.
Well, that's the thing. We had a thing the other morning, and again, sometimes they've got stuff or a lot of times it's, didn't finish it in class, which totally fine. And you got to do it at home. But this is a little bit like I had a thing in here about basically your children failing to communicate with you about things. And I try not to put the expectations of a 45-year-old onto a child with very little life experience, but I've made things pretty clear, basic shit. And I don't even remember which fucking kid it was the other morning. I've showed you the little checklists we have. I'm looking at them like, there are 2 out of 10 things done here. And it's basic shit, Claire. We're not asking them to mow the lawn in the morning before school. And they're on their computer and looking stressed out. And I said, bus is coming in 10 minutes. What are we doing here? And they're like, well, I got to finish this thing. I was like, unfortunately for you, you haven't brushed your teeth yet. That's a required. You made yourself some breakfast and left everything out. That's part of living in a house, being a family. I'm sorry you're going to turn your shit in late, but you actually have to do those things. They're like, well, then I won't have time. I'm like, then you won't have fucking time. I don't figure it out, man. Sorry.
Cut to, I haven't done this one for a while, but the old throwing the shoes out the front door to give someone a head start. That's
great. Oh, I got to try that. That's really... That's a good one.
We haven't, our days have gotten a lot easier this year because I hired a lady to help me with my scheduling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
I think she doesn't like me already, but continue.
She doesn't not like you. She's just got, she has 3 little kids actually. And I spoke with her. She lived in Chicago and I was like, how do you do this? And she's like, it's easier for me to do this for other people than it is for myself. I was like, respect. But anyway, I said, can you possibly come up with a carpool schedule for us and our friends? And it was interesting to verbalize all the bullshit that you kind of have memorized internally where you're like, it takes 15 minutes to get to school. School starts at this time, except on Wednesdays when it starts at this time and gets out this time. We also have football, which officially starts at this time, but unofficially starts 15 minutes earlier. And so I gave her all of that information and she just spat out this beautiful carpool schedule. And there was this, I would say at least 40% less anger in the house, just having this set for us. And we do half the time we do the driving and other time. And I don't know how to explain it, but we are much calmer. There's still some yelling for sure, stomping, things like that, but it's been amazing, worth it for sure.
That's fucking amazing. I mean, truly that shit can change your life, man. Because again, like you said, cognitive load, it's all relative. You've made things a little bit easier. It's still clusterfuck,
Well, that's not how I think. And it just shouldn't sound like it should be that big a deal. But if you are in my life, as I was went from working for a job where someone tells you what to do and you meet these milestones to working for yourself and you have to set it up for yourself. I find that part very stressful, the setup part of it and the admin of it. And I hate being I can only blame myself if I fuck it up. Now I have this other person and I don't presume she'll fuck it up. But if she does, it's not 100% my fault. And
yeah,
that's so nice.
Yeah, that's fucking great. And it's also not your spouse who's like, then I'm going to fall asleep on the couch. Fuck you. It helps. That is often, and again, you only really gain this with experience, is the complications of having family help in raising kids because it is not someone who works for you. Mm-hmm. And you do have to treat them a little differently. Not to say you don't treat people who work for you differently, but the expectations are a little different. Does that make 100%. Sense?
Oh, yeah. So this book I'm talking about it's called What's on Her Mind by Allison Daminger. And she is a sociologist at University of Wisconsin. And she had me do a conversation with her, but she just did this interesting work. It's kind of this research that's sort of based on emotional labor, but it's more about the decision-making that goes behind running a family and house. Quinn, you're interesting because you are among the handful of people I know who have the non-traditional labor, and by which it's not only who's in charge of the groceries, but who's always thinking ahead about what are we running low on, or we can make this next week or whatever, or how much paper towels there are in the house. Just things like that and the research and stuff. And Steve is pretty good about that kind of stuff, but still sometimes not. And we have one of the old, I took a picture for him to illustrate a photo to show where some dishes go that he tends to leave out after they've been washed because he can't possibly know where they would go. And it is one of those decision-making things for me where I'm do I just put him away and just accept that he doesn't know that these live like literally a foot away?
Correct.
Or do I just live in anger? Is it just my job? But he didn't disagree with that sort of analogy about like how there's sort of like a leader. They call it a superhuman and a bumbler. And that doesn't
It's
always.
aggressive, but
Yeah, it is aggressive.
Not fair.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it was very interesting. And it was a good way of thinking about how, I don't know, I think I would get mad at myself, be like, why am I so tired with all this admin? Like I should just be able to absorb it. And then you're like, no, this is like a lot of brain
It's a lot
power.
of shit. It's a lot of shit. And we've had conversations before where I fully understand why people in our help circle, from my wife to my more sentient children to grandmas, whoever, will, I think less so often now, but still understandably and rightfully, occasionally feel controlled by me, which is, and that is the word they use, and I totally get it. Because sometimes it does go over where I'm like, well, then we got to go here and we got to do this. And if we don't do this and we got to do this, they go to this. And no, you can't do those 6 things because we already committed this and this. I get it. My argument is usually, and I think is fair, is like, I'm just trying to baseline, keep the trains running, and if possible, set the unit up for success, even if not everybody gets what they want all the time, right? While still having some free time and things like that. I try now much more when, the grandmas, when they want to drive or watch the kids or whatever, I try to set it up as much as I feasibly can and then say to them, what do you want to do? How much do you want to help? And really be like, no, you tell me. To the point where I'm like, great, but I'm not losing control of, well, now this jackass isn't going to get to chess club or whatever. And that took a while, obviously. But again, I get why eventually some people were just like, can I have a fucking minute? Can we just do anything else? I'm like, no, I get it. We need to have that. Sometimes get it back off. But the alternative in our house is that nothing happens or works. Which, by the way, is fine sometimes. But
yeah, exactly. You have to be like, all right, maybe it is possibly unfair to expect this 10-year-old to consider the power of my personal to-do list and like his role in making me satisfied and getting these things done. Like he may overestimate. So it can be hard out there. Now, what did you think? I don't know if you happen to see this, Evil Witches, but I was talking to a woman who wrote an article from the point of view of a much younger mom. And she pointed out that there's apparently some trend, and this doesn't sound that unfamiliar. It sounds like gentle parenting, but just more whatever. That people are, I guess you don't say no to like your very young children. Like you try to never say no. Instead of saying no hitting, we don't hit, things like that. Have you heard this? Has this come up for you?
I have definitely heard it. And it's not that I disagree with it fully in theory. I think practically it becomes pretty difficult, especially like when we had 3 under 3 at some point. Because on the other hand, I do, and this is kind of what I meant with, what are they going to wear to family pictures? I think constraints can also, if I guess managed and communicated well with expectations, can actually lead to more freedom. Does that make sense? So if we say, yeah, we're not doing fucking screens this weekend, the answer is no, you can do anything else. I do think that kind of unlocks them a little bit. That would be my argument, kind of. When we're such believers in, be bored, figure it out. I don't know, do something or do nothing. But here's the 2 things like we're not doing. No. But you can do anything else and figure it out. I think it's important. It always reminds me, I've used the example before of when you were in school and your teachers would be like, write a paper of any length about anything. And you're like, this is never going to fucking happen. But if they say write 500 words about the last week of summer and you can't write about anything else, done, easy, right? You can do that all day. So I think it's expectations and communications and stuff, but I mean, I fucking get it. And I definitely catch myself being the party of no too often. I feel like that was more so when they were younger and trying to kill themselves at all times, either purposefully or not. And now it's probably actually easier for me because now, again, as you can probably tell by this conversation, I'm in much more of just say best wishes, fuck around and find out. Great. All right. Well, you didn't turn it in. I don't know what to tell you. You do have to brush your teeth. I don't know. I get it.
Yeah. To me, it just seems like there's an obvious moment in your life and your child's life where they need to know that they're asking a question by which the fundamental principle is ridiculous and not worth your time of expanding further.
Yeah. Well, I think that's respectful and that has some empathy to it, but also that there's, and I know you have it kind of noted here, in a world where a lot of like sort of assumed rules and best practices and assumptions of how we operate as a society have been tested and just completely gone away. Turns out they just relied on like volunteerism. I do really sincerely believe, even before that, but now, that there has to be underlying like ethical and moral boundaries, whether you are religious or not, or whatever the fuck, that you operate by. And that involves saying no to things and establishing these are the things our family says yes to, and these are the things our family says fucking no to. That's the deal.
Yeah.
And, I think that's probably more important than ever. Again, our kids aren't really allowed to, they have iPads, they don't get to use them that much. They very gently, I will add someone to their contacts outside of each other and us, a friend. And one of them, at one point, again, we're like, we read all your fucking texts. At one point, one of them sent a message to a friend and was like, called the bus driver a bad name. And I said, guess what? Now you lost it, because we don't do that. Straight up, full stop. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's a no from me. There's nothing like you can do to explain yourself that's going to earn it back, motherfucker. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. What about you guys? How much do you say no every day compared to 5 years ago?
I mean, I think we've all gotten older and more mature, so I don't think I have to say it as much. But it was funny because I was talking about that in my newsletter the other night, and then James he teed up a perfect no situation where Steve's been out of town all week, and James not every night, but he asked at bedtime if we can Zoom with Dad. And I'm like, where the fuck do you think, like, when have we ever done this? Like, cracked open the laptop, like, while you are in your bed, like, in the pajama. So I just said no, And I did one that was actually, I wasn't trying to be funny, but it was funny. I called Steve to ask him something, and he was in the car with the boys and their two friends who are like, they're good homies. And I asked him his question, and I knew I was on speakerphone. He said, do you have anything to say to Paul and their friends? And I said, no. And I hung up the phone. And like, and Paul got home and he's like, Mom, that was cold. And I was like, good. I thought it was
you're
funny,
welcome.
So I'm glad they thought it was funny.
Fuck you. How's my day? That's outstanding. But I also think there's, like you're saying, everyone's maturing in some ways and in other ways not, because now they're testing and this and this. Like at one point, I had, again, like we have a Nintendo Switch. They don't get to use it much, but when we do, it's Mario Kart, this and that. And I think I had taken it and put it in some drawer somewhere. And they had some friends over. And I found one of our children, like literally going through my bedroom drawers and nightstand and Dana's. And I walked in and I was like, why do you think that this is an option for you? Let's start there. Not just get the fuck out, but take me back to the beginning where you thought, I'm allowed to do this. Sure.
Wait, this is not your child?
No, it is my child. No, it is my child. But
okay, all right, good. All right, but still.
I was just like, just have a seat. Talk me through this. You would think that this is an option and okay. Are you fucking kidding me?
I need to know, was there anything in those drawers that like they should not be?
Possibly. I mean, not that any of it's used in any capacity, but at the same time, fuck off. Boundaries. No.
Oh, I know. Oh, no, I agree completely. I also believe that, I guess from my own experience, it's like you go rattling through your parents' like bedside drawers, you may discover things you never wanted to find out. And it's a good
Well, now maybe
lesson.
I'll just start planning things in there, right? Where I'm just like, all right, you want to go through the drawers? See what you find.
Exactly. Did you read the article in New York Magazine about Roblox? I haven't even brought myself to read it yet because I know the premise is like it's worse than you ever even thought, when it's coming for your kids. But I'm like, well, I don't want to read that. I don't like that's not gonna feel good.
No, I don't feel like I have to. I think I get it.
Okay.
I see the headline and I'm like, no, I get it. It doesn't surprise me. It's like reading a thing about climate. I'm like, I wonder if this headline's good. I got it.
Yeah, exactly.
So could you expand on, and I want to note for listeners here, there's 2 exclamation points. I don't want breakfast right now.
Oh yeah. That was how I started my morning. And in our family, we have this tradition of I make Nutella toast on Fridays. It just started like a long time ago.
What a fucking delight you are.
Well, James was not into it. And I do respect the waking up process. He comes down and he takes this pill and I think I started to offer him breakfast. And that was how he like spoke with me, like the very first like exchange of the day. So, and you're just confronted with one of those. We talked about this with Sarah Walker for our break about choosing your battles of like when your kid is talking to you like shit ass. And there's a part of me that'd be like, I'm going to just twist your head around and pop it off, throw it on the ground. Like, but what is the benefit of starting off hard? I think I did say something like, oh, I'm sorry. Please let me know when I can something not great. I didn't completely let it go, but yeah. Anyway, I just thought you'd appreciate that was how my morning started and how I spoke.
Yeah, it really both, again, we all mature and things change over time, and eventually you're like, this motherfucker, have a great day, bud. And obviously, I feel like, again, like it's like the pornography thing where you're like, if they need speaking to harshly in this moment, I will do it. But I definitely find myself, the same thing like you're saying, half the time being like, okay.
Well, and it was like, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I guess I did a good enough job not losing my shit at him, because he asked me to play a game with him, like on the way, they had a late start this morning. So he has to play a game, and I could have said we don't have time, or, fuck off. But I said yes. So good job me. I didn't ruin our relationship so bad that he was like, I'd rather play a game by myself than ask my mom, because he will play a game by himself without asking me often. So we made it. I don't know how much breakfast he actually did end up eating, but that's his teacher's problem, not mine.
Where I will put a foot down a little more is be like, again, you can choose not to eat breakfast, but you don't get to fucking take it out on me or anybody else later when you're clearly hungry. So I'm going to put this snack in your bag. I've done my part, man. But if I get a call from the teacher, just know I'm not blaming them for any of this shit, motherfucker.
Yeah, James is hard because he really is so ADHD that he will like not pay attention to his food sometimes, like especially in the morning, because he likes to read and do whatever his like. Did you see the reel that was going on Instagram about how baseball is like the most autistic sport?
No, but it fully is, obviously.
And I like, my life is so Rain Man, but with sports stats. Like there's just like sheets everywhere of like lists of names and numbers, and so anyway, he'll be like balls deep in something like that, and then like you need to put some food in your mouth.
Totally. I think that's one of and I've come to deal with it. Like, there's a really great author and blogger. His name's Austin Kleon. He wrote Steal Like an Artist. It's been around forever. He's great little blog. It's not little at all, but he wrote a recent one I'll put in the show notes, which I have been, I guess, simultaneously doing as well, which is he just talks about not setting up his house as a library per se, but almost like filling it with books. So that is the most predominant option, but also selectively, like, he will leave specific books out, like little traps for them, like not handing it to them because God knows then they won't fucking do it, but little things.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed that, obviously over time, there's times I have to say insane things, especially for someone wearing this dumb fucking t-shirt, where I have to be like, put the fucking book down and eat your food. And I'm like, I mean, some parents would beg for that, this and this, but I don't know. I also need you to not get hangry and take it out on everybody. So
yeah, completely. May I do a hard transition into something timely?
By all means, come get them. Thing's great.
Saw this this poster that seems so quaint right now, this Hands Off Chicago poster, which was like 3 weeks ago now. That was so long ago.
Yeah, that was the tone. We're no longer at that tone.
No, that's over. Maybe. We'll see. But tell me any fucked up conversations you've had to have with your kids over the last couple of weeks about current events and what that spells out for their future, or what they need to be concerned about. Any one thing. You can pick one.
I mean, we can talk about the Charlie Kirk shit. Our kids aren't online much, if at all, at our purview. But obviously, your circle extends to friends who are allowed to do certain things and not that. I mean, some of it's bad, Roblox, and some of it's just consuming the media ecosystem, which, as we all know, is fucking rotten to the core and often purposefully. And so I am sure, I haven't verified with any of them. I am sure at least one of my children have seen the video of this person's neck exploding. Oof. I'm sure, because it was everywhere and it was tough to miss, and people will show each other shit. Probably helpful that, phones are banned here in schools from bell to bell, but they can still have them on the bus and shit like that, and they have other activities. And that's a tough one. We've had conversations, and it's interesting where one of them will say, again, with all innocence, like, they don't know who this person is, but they heard from someone who's just like, oh, but I heard he's like a good, like, family person, and you're like, yeah, one, that's totally not your fault to have heard that, or for your friend who had heard that, and we can break that down factually, which is what I really try to do as much as I possibly can, which is to go like, that person they did have a family. We can start there 100%. And it's terrible when any child's left without a parent of any kind. In isolation, of course, totally true. And you can also respond with the facts of how this person not just lived their life, but evangelized how other people should live their life by supplying direct quotes about what they said, and that their work was to literally go to other places and try to evangelize their worldview in a very practical way, by the way, not just like in a philosophical way, to other young people, which then led, and this is possibly the most important part of it, I try to tell them, like, it's pretty difficult to refute empirically that this person swayed enough people, young people, to swing an election that now is actually hurting people. And so I try to take my extraordinary bias out of it, but I do believe it's right, seated in being righteous about justice and such. But I try to say, I totally understand how you heard that. That's not your fault. That's not anybody's fault. It's programmed that way, man. And it's like the worst fucking game of telephone on the planet. And a lot of it's on purpose. But here are the facts. And I'll say that about anybody, whichever way it goes, So we've had that conversation because they were like, fuck, I didn't know all that. I'm like, yeah, it's still, no one should be shot. Full stop. I am, I know I'm not going to run for office because my position is the guns should all be bought back and fucking melted down into the One Ring, thrown into the fire. That's not reasonable, clearly. But at the same time, we have made it possible.
Well, there's so many things that I think I could talk about with them that I don't even want to go that deep on it because there's a certain extent to which I don't think they should have to have me talk to them too much about Charlie Kirk because it is so wild to me that was like happening the same time as September 11th. Was it the same day, even day
Sure.
after? And I still can't believe that was like not the most fucked up thing that happened in our lifetimes. I think I thought that was like, well, that's it. This will be the defining moment.
Best luck topping that. Kind of like when they shot up a class of kindergartners and we're like, well, now we're going to fucking do something about it.
Yeah. So what was interesting was that the kids heard about it at football practice. And I said, oh, did you hear that what kind of guy was he? Like a good guy or a bad guy? And they said he was a bad guy. And I was like, okay, like I didn't say anything. And then we had an interesting dinner because I did not see the footage. And I read a lot of people's responses to the footage who were saying like, I wish I hadn't seen that. And I started getting sad thinking about my kids, like when they do get online and see that. So we had a talk saying like, when you are more online, and again, maybe they already are more online than I'd like to think, but I was like, it is very easy to find violent footage of things. And I was like, I don't even know what I said, but I tried to say it's bad for you. It's not good for you. So just try to keep that in mind, basically. But then at James's football practice, which is a football game, this children's JV game, they did the Pledge of Allegiance and the Star Spangled Banner, and they took several moments of silence for Charlie Kirk, who to these suburbs is local. And
did they
I
do
wasn't
it for
there
the
for
other
this.
2 kids that were shot that day as well, I'm assuming?
What do you think? And I was just really glad I wasn't there for it. First of all, it wouldn't be about me, obviously. It's not our team. There was a part of me that was like, I hope our coach wasn't a part of this and it wasn't his gig. And just being like, I'm just glad I wasn't there because I'd end up going off on the boys and they don't need to be a part of this bullshit. Like they were probably wrapped up in their own shit, but I was like, what do these children have to do with this? But anyway, yeah, I want to now talk to Paul, but I'm kind of phasing out my, my talking tos. I try not to give too many at a time.
Your drive-bys? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
can I stop there for 1 second? Can I be fully fucking honest? This is not one of your drive-by scenarios, which we all find entertaining and are so true, and we do all the time. I mean, my kids will literally give my wife a plaque that says studies show, because she'll walk up to them doing anything and be like, studies show when you sit like that, and they're like, fuck, Mom. Yeah. This is not that. This is a full-scale fucking emergency where no one has ever grown up like this, ever in history. Yeah. Ever, 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 from the fucking printing press on, right? Has ever grown up like this. And it is fully 1,000%, whatever your politics, whatever your religion, whatever your family situation, whatever your sexual orientations or gender, none of it fucking matters, is inexcusable and on purpose that the fight is put on the kids and the parents. Full stop. Yeah. Because it is just people reaping the benefit from it with no care for the damage done. So these aren't drive-bys. This is you operating in a fucking emergency where this, like you said, is the one thing that just fucking happened last week and now we've fucking moved on. You're like, is 9/11 not enough? You said that the day before. I remember our 12-year-old came home and he goes, we learned about the falling man today. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, here's the story and this and that. And I'm like, I'm sorry you had to learn about that. And I can't believe it's been 24 years. Next day, it just goes on. And it is not your fault. And this is what we have to do. It's fucking terrible.
This isn't funny, but I am gonna laugh because it's so absurd. But Paul's been working, I feel like, forever on the Holocaust project as well. And you're like, I think it's almost funny. I'm like, when do they get a break? Or they like
Yeah.
this
By the
like,
way, so important to learn. So important to learn, but the way to learn it. I'm going to pause. I want to recommend, and we've got some of this in our app, but there's 1,000 different versions of it. Are you familiar with John and Hank Green's crash courses?
yeah, John and I go way back, but not to brag. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's awesome. So they're such a version of a model for us. It's great. They have 2 really great courses, which are helpful in this scenario. One is, let's see, which one is this one? Navigating digital information. And I'll put the link in the show notes. And the other one is media literacy. And truly, like, your family can sit there and watch the whole course and do a piece every night. It's just really fucking helpful stuff. And they have other stuff on, biology, Black history, which is great and stuff like that. But for right now, like, everybody needs it. It's like everybody should take first aid. That's where we are because it is causing harm.
Well, the one I started teeing up today, because we were watching Project Runway on Hulu, and I already was like, the shit is already on my feed of people who canceled Disney, canceled Hulu. I'm like, I can't, at least Steve's out of town. I can't deal with the whole, technological transformation at this point. But I started saying people are mad at Hulu, and I'm not there yet. I haven't formulated my discussion yet about the First Amendment, but also being intelligent about what you post on social media. And I'm like, how do I cue this up, because it's not even on social media yet. And so anyway, I'm still like baking my lesson thoughts.
I get it. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to keep baking it. It's going to be so well considered, and then something else, because it's fucking Tuesday. And that's the thing. It's overwhelming and it's really frustrating. We had this talk, and again, it was my 12, almost 13-year-old who loves being a big kid, like any big kid, excited about this and that, and new things, and everything they used to know came from us. And now it's well beyond that. And we finished a version of one of these talks in the past 2 weeks. And he literally just said to me, I don't even know if I told Dana this yet. He literally said to me, he goes, I just want to be 12.
Oh.
And I was like, God, I was so fucking mad. And again, you cannot be sheltered your whole life. And a lot of kids grow up with, know this shit because it's part of their family, whatever, domestic violence, you name it. But again, it's really fucking unfair, and it makes me furious.
I was going to say one nice thing that doesn't involve parenting at all, but just made my heart happy, was watching the Emmys. And I have a friend who, her husband is a writer on the Colbert Show. And so it made me very happy to see like the room come together as one, for that. And, and again, I'm like, I can't explain this to the kids currently, because I'm like, it involves ownership of the networks and, all this stuff.
Dana tried to explain that to the kids last night. And I got so deep into like regional radio stations. She was like, we've lost them, and I'm like, I know, but this is how it is.
Not to be cheeseball, but one of the gigs that keeps me busy is the Evanston Roundtable parenting newsletter I have.
Yeah.
And when I was younger in journalism school, it was like definitely like you cut your teeth on local journalism, and and that was something you did on the way up to your real job. And now I'm feeling, and maybe it's because I don't have a real job, but I'm like very pleased to be working in local journalism. Did I tell you this? We still are driving the Tesla. The lease is up this winter, but I have a magnet on it that says support local journalism, which I feel like is the non-explicit way of being like, I'm a gentle libtard, please don't set fire to my car. Which, by the way, doesn't that feel like 6 years ago now? Remember the whole
the oldest news there's ever, that's Watergate and that happened at the same fucking time. Yeah.
It's like the Ollie North scandal. Like,
yeah, right, exactly. Oh, you mean the Iran-Contra testimonials? The same week as Elon. Yeah, fucking Jesus Christ. And again, you would be angry, but also just, oh my God, just like cackling. I feel like a fucking crazy person sometimes.
Yeah, it's literally not right now. I literally not right now can't deal with curriculum night, but also, fascism.
Claire, what have you done with the 700 stickers I sent you? Have you given them out to everybody you know?
I did. There was late. I don't know if you saw, and I don't know if she's listening, but an Evanston mom said, I did leave you a review, but I don't want more shit in the house. So I offered to drive over.
But that's our fucking listener. That's it. That's great. Fantastic. Here's a review. Don't you dare fucking send me that doorknob.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. If you send it to me, I will give you a bad review on purpose. But
so I got to ask you a question then, as we've talked about all this different shit in back to school, again, fascism and live murder and birthdays. How is it going taking care of yourself? How are your routines? How is your self-care? It's been, 6 weeks, something like that? How are we doing? What's going on?
Oh, you know what? I say not bad. I have doubled down on certain things for some reason, because I have realized that as much as I yearn to do nothing, doing nothing is usually the path to madness and depression. So I committed to go into even more Orange Theory classes per month.
Great.
And I got a free umbrella, which is my first piece
Fuck
of Orange Theory swag.
That's how the cult
And
starts.
yeah, exactly. And it could be worse. Could be worse, Colt. I am helping co-host a school fundraiser dinner tomorrow. And then someone said, are you interested in taking the lead on selling concessions at the boys' football game? And I internally said, no, I'm not interested at all in taking the lead, but I will do it. So I'm going to be sitting selling ring pops and shit at this football stand. Come see me at Robert Crown next week.
What does that have to do with taking care of yourself? You were like, I go to Orange Theory, and on the other end you said reading, and in between you obligated yourself to something you didn't want to do.
Because that will be time that I'm not on the computer, that I'm not on Reddit,
that's fair.
that I'm not reading the news. I'm spiraling through my 6 mainstream newspapers, all of whom flawed perspective. Yeah, those are some good things. How about you?
I mean, it's not ideal, but like the bar is low. And remember was it the world champs last year when the guy jumped over the bar, but he didn't get there because he hit it with his dick? Did you see that? Yeah. I feel like where we are, where everyone's like, he totally would have made it if I guess his cock wasn't so big. And good for him. I don't fucking know. I'll exercise for 2 days and on the second day be like, I'm about to get in the best fucking shape of my life, which by the way is saying something. And then 6 days later, nothing has happened. Like it's gone in the other direction to the point where I think last night I literally said out loud, standing in my closet where I hide my gummies, as I put 2 gummies, I didn't eat them. I put them under my tongue. And
medicinal.
Into an emergency, if I hadn't literally said out loud to myself in the closet, I think from now on it's a 2 gummy night. So that's, I guess, where the bar is. And I'm frustrated. I got to get back to it. But at least for the next few weeks, there's no routine in our future.
Yeah.
We're fully moving out next week. We got to go to this Wicked concert next week in LA for 3 days. Like, complete chaos.
Yeah. Well, I think it's honestly good to just know when to walk away, and to not pretend that you're going to be able to throw some kind of, system over it or make it work. Like sometimes you just got to go, just say, fuck it. I have a friend who I feel so bad for her, but she relocated from New Orleans to New York City for a job that she just got, which is a major culture change. And her kids, who are about your kids' age, are behind it. And she is living in a furnished apartment in Manhattan. And she said the idea of furnished in Manhattan is not what she thought. She thought it might be a bed, for instance. And so I was just saying, you should just get paper plates, paper utensils, just fuck it. You just get through it and just do the best you can.
Truly, that's where this morning, I'm not kidding. We're sitting at breakfast for a minute. I don't remember which child it was. Doesn't matter. One of them looked around at the state of our house, which is in fucking tatters at this point. So here's the things. We got our building permit to start in 2 weeks. Since we've gotten that, hot water stopped working, dishwasher stopped working, 2 smoke alarms failed, and like a bunch of other shit. And we've been sort of packing, getting rid of shit, all this. One of the kids looked around as they're like eating their fucking yogurt, and they looked around, they go, I think I'm going to move out today. And I was like, you know what? That's good luck, I guess. Yeah. Good luck. They were like, Grandma's already got like a room set up for me. I think I'm just going to go. And I was like, I get it. I get it. Like, good luck. Yeah. This wasn't me trying to do even close to the organized controlling thing. I was just like, let me know if you need help with your bags, I guess. Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, it's a little adventure. It's like being a boxcar child.
It's an adventure, but that's where we are. I'm like, am I going to get in a run? Like to where? From something? Maybe. Yeah. I'm not chasing anything, so it would have to be something chasing me at this point.
Do you know how we're going to dive even deeper into the morass? Is that we've been talking about, and I think the timeline is starting to rise up of getting another dog. And, we are getting a puppy. It's so stupid. Yeah, I know. Again, it's like,
what a self goal. What an own goal.
Well, yeah, it'll be, again, you can't catch me like going into a deep dive on whatever in the news. Like,
no, when are you going to do that? And by the way, we decided to do that as well. I mean, and I think I've talked about this, but I fully leaned into it as far as, again, the line. No, I'm saying no actively to my children. You can call that gentle or not, about everything coming in the house. But if they are increasingly in a wider variety interested in something that is like relatively nourishing to their mind or body or culturing, that is not being on a screen, I'm like, great, congratulations, you have a keyboard now. Or here's catcher's gear, or here's a volleyball. Like, great. Because again, we are in an overwhelming losing battle, and you have to do what you are capable of doing. And if your thing is like selling fucking ring pops and you're not technically allowed to be on your phone, I will actively take timer shift at my kids' swim meets, but because of safe sport, they don't let you have your phone. And while you're back there behind the blocks, and I'm like, great, 6 hours, not allowed to. Not my choice.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't participate. Yeah, whatever is required. So if you got to get a new fucking puppy, which, wow, that first year is going to be an adventure.
I know. Well, the puppy is secretly, I feel bad for her. It's going to be a girl because I think Ollie can't live with another boy. But she is already the comfort measure for when Ollie, dies. Which,
And she has no idea that's her explicit purpose.
No, and I already, this is so funny because this is like when I was pregnant with James and I was like, well, no child can be as good as Paul. I already feel sad for him. And that's how I feel about this dog. And
Perfect.
then James is the most fun baby. Like I had such a good time with him. So
I'm 90% sure that my children only exist to have been a buffer for when my wife's first dog died.
Yeah.
If the children didn't exist, I'm not sure she would have gone through it and made it
no,
through.
I had a moment where I thought the dog had cancer and I seriously was, I don't want to be light about this, but I kind of was like, I'm going to insert expression of self-harm desire here. If this dog dies before my parents and before Donald Trump, that was the non-negotiable.
Yeah, what kind of fucking world is that? What are we talking about?
I'm not sticking around for that. Oh,
Yeah,
good luck,
bye,
boys. Someone's going to have to wash your clothes now.
I'm good.
Not me.
Yeah, no, fuck that. No, fuck all that. Oh my God.
But you know what is weirdly cute is that Paul is somehow excited for high school. And that makes me, I find that charming. I don't know if it's how long he'll stay excited, but I'm like, you should be scared. In my mind, you should be nervous.
You're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get your ass kicked, white boy, but also not really. He'll be I'm happy for him that he is thrilled about this new phase. So that makes me glad for him. We'll see if this continues.
I think we talked about that's how our oldest was going into middle school. He was fucking jazzed. And then 2 weeks in, he was like, fuck, got it. That's the only way to go, man.
Is he high school next year too, or he's eighth grade?
No, he's 8th grade. So we do proper 6th, 7th, 8th middle school and then high school. It's crazy. But again, I feel like we're all really setting expectations. Charlotte had a presentation the other day and a teacher invited everyone. She's like, middle of the day, if you can come, great. If you can't, no, who cares? No pressure. She's great. And we're like, hey, Charlotte, we're excited to come to your presentation. She's like, it's not going to be great. And I was like, perfect.
Good.
That's what I'm looking.
Fine.
It wasn't, I'm excited or I'm nervous. She was just like, it's not good. And
yeah.
Great. I don't care.
I wish I had sent you the long single-spaced email we'd gotten about lunchtime cafeteria behavior and how we all had to talk to our kids about it. And I picked the kids and their friends up, and according to them, it was 6th and 7th grade, and they represent 5th and 8th grade. So I was like, okay, satisfactory. And I was like, you understand, right? Not to throw food in the cafeteria. Yes. Okay. All right. This is done. Now I can delete this email.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've done my part, which again, I've said no. I've made clear, not happening.
This is sort of all over the place, but I had an interesting conversation with a friend yesterday about first steps people need to take to move their parents out of their old house. But it really began, it was a talk about being an oldest daughter more. It was such an interesting, here's the real estate talk. Here's the oldest daughter talk. Mm-hmm. And do you guys, is that dynamic present in your Dana's families at all where, big sister kind of bears the brunt?
Dana is one of 2 siblings. She's the younger of the 2. On my side, it's 3 fucking idiot boys and then my sister. And even, I'm misremembering this because we know memory doesn't work this way, but there's truth to it. I remember when we moved into this house that my parents built when I was 10. So my sister is 4. And she's the only one who got a room with a bathroom attached. The biggest room, bathroom, you name it, view of the front yard, the whole thing. And I remember, and again, incorrect, but we're going to say it's real, being like, quick question, why does the baby get a shower and her own toilet? And I'm fairly sure my dad was like, well, we like her more. And the answer is, that's the right answer. The rest of us are fucking morons. So we don't have as much that for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated. I fully get that. And I see it in a lot of friends. Ours is just weirder because there's a bunch of morons at the top, including my dad.
Do you feel like Charlotte, do you see her taking the role ever of being the, the voice of reason project manager among the 3 of them, or not yet?
That's a good question. I think she will, in a well-intentioned way, if she sees something is going awry with the boys, she will offer to help. I think and be like, I'll find it. I know where it is. Or I can do that. Here, let me help this and this. They will either be grateful or dicks, mostly grateful. I do think she does it partly out of she knows she will receive adulation and praise, which, by the way, is warranted. Thank you. And great. But also, you don't have to help these dipshits out. You know that. No one is obligating you to do this. We don't want to turn this into the woman's got to fucking fix it. I'm like, no, let them. They're not wearing underwear. They shit themselves. That's on them.
Yeah.
That's not your job. That's not my job anymore. So I could see some of that. But I also think she kind of likes it a little bit, you know, like making a plan and all that kind of, like she's the one who, you know, we got to go on a trip. She's packed 3 weeks ahead of time. And the boys are like, I packed. They didn't.
That's like totally that cognitive labor thing, and how part of it is that the author doesn't like, people don't like to admit that they are adhering to gender rules. They just say, I'm just a control freak. So it is interesting, the narratives we sort of tell ourselves about what we want to do and then what we end up being tasked with.
And there's ones that are detrimental that maybe you confront at some point or that someone confronts you with. And then there's sometimes you got to tell yourself shit to get through the day, or raising children. And I think that's okay too, is again, as long as they're not harmful to other people.
Yeah.
Within reason.
Well, it's very frustrating when you are like doing the oldest sibling, older sister thing with aging parents, and they like raised you up to be incredibly competent and like also empathetic. And then they like don't play along when you're like, hey, I've done like a lot of investigation about like how this is absolutely the right thing for you to do right now. And they're like, you know, thanks, you know, and then just fall down the stairs, you know. So you're invigorated in a weird way because you're like, why did I do so many things right and well when apparently nobody else is? Like, you know, but that gif is John Goodman, like, it's nobody give a fuck about the rules around here. Like that's me kind of right now. So.
Does that make you revisit like a lot of childhood, adolescent, you know, early 20s shit where you were the rule follower girl who never got in trouble?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, not like my brother was a wild rebel, but I think he has some kind of set spectrum, like touch-autism kind of thing. So he got treated accordingly. And I was just a very obedient kid when they were like, hey, you should take the SATs a second time to see if you can do even better on math, you know, or hey, like you should apply to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton just to see if you get in, you know, and hey, we think you should graduate in the top 20 of the kids. And I like did for some reason. And
so you liked it?
Of course, because I wasn't the kid who was like differentiating themselves by not doing that. So yeah, now I feel like my curse is that I collect all this knowledge about how to make gentle or make convenient the next phase of life. And they are like not taking it, you know, and it is very irritating.
Right. You made this monster. And now you won't let it do its job.
Why did you raise me to be so competent and then to live here near you, you know, and we have this pretty good relationship. So what the fuck? Like all the pieces are in place. To,
right.
Like,
I trained my whole life for this.
Yeah, exactly. Let me cook, but no.
So what's the next step? Do you give up? Do you let them age in place and keep falling down the stairs? What's the story?
Well, my friend told me, because they live in a big old house that obviously hasn't been like modernized in decades. And my mom smokes cigarettes and my dad smokes cigars. So like that probably, you know, is not great. And so my friend told me, as a real estate perspective, she said, walls and floors are the easiest things to update for a house, especially if there's not wallpaper on the walls to repaint everything. I said, what do you do if you don't have time, but you do have money? She's like, just sell it as is, basically, and make the price lower and understand that you're going to have a lower price. But moreover, I said, what do you advise as a me, because she had just done this with her own dad. She said, be as hands-off as possible, but it's going to fucking suck. And she said, tell your parents, like, I'm doing this for all of us, and it's going to be really stressful. And she talked about a company called Two More Sisters, because their mentality is like, what do you need in life when you are like going through something hard, like two more sisters to help you out. So they do a lot of hands-off. I don't know. I think purging the house and putting things up for sale. I'm not there yet. I just sent my dad an email saying I talked with my friend. She told me some stuff. Let me know when you're ready to talk about it. And he said, okay. So that is where I am currently. But it was sort of bracing in a weird way to be like told there's no way to get out of the shit ass part of it. I need to hear that sometimes. I'd rather hear that than be like, here's some bullshit, fucking shitty, stupid bullshit ways that will help you avoid pain, you know?
Yeah, I think different things are helpful at different times and different stages and different situations. I mean, I remember once when our oldest was, I don't know, man, year and a half to whatever. And it wasn't even like screaming and crying. putting him to bed used to take 2.5 hours because he would just drag it on in this way. And Dana would like cry herself to sleep every night. And eventually she was just like, I'm not doing it. And then I was like, well, I don't want to do it. And we just remember at this one point having this, I don't think we can both opt out of bedtime. I think we actually have to do this, and knowing it will change, but we can only affect it so much, but it's gonna continue to suck. And yeah, that's interesting. Obviously it's a lot harder though with older parents because you're just like, oh, you're just not going to do it. I did all this stuff and you're just like, nope.
My friends who've been there, my friends who haven't been there yet say, have you tried this? Have you told them that? Have you set up this? And I'm like, yes. And did nothing. And my friends who like have been there don't ask, have you tried, or have you done? Because like
No, they're like, have a drink. It's like when we were having our infertility issues and people are like, have you tried wine? And you're like,
well, we tried relaxing.
Yeah, we just let it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, it's Steve he's in Phoenix right now, and he doesn't talk as much with his parents, but it turned out his dad had a significant illness for which he went through several rounds of a certain kind of therapy and they didn't tell Steve, their only child, because they didn't want to make him worried. So, he'll come back from that and we'll find out, what's up. So, that's another version of, sorry, I don't mind laughing.
No, but you have to. You're just like, let's circle back to the Holocaust real quick. I'm a little lighter. No, it's frustrating. It's exasperating. You're like, I'm a professional person. I'm managing. You're like, I started a fucking parenting, like, let me do this. This is what I do. And they're like, no, we're not going to listen to you. But it affects me. I'm not doing this. Like you said, I'm doing this for all of us. That's what they don't understand. Right?
Yeah. No, I have a lot of feelings about the boomer generation as a whole right now. And I'm sure a lot of, but they're just happy they're being talked about. So I don't want to give them the satisfaction. As my dad would say, I forgot, he used to sit next to famous people on airplanes a lot because of his work. And he just wanted, do a lot of frequent flying, first class kind of thing. And there'd be times where he didn't want to acknowledge that he knew the person was famous because he didn't want to give them the satisfaction, which is so petty in Chicago.
There are layers to that, girl. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's outstanding. I mean, ask him to explain it. And he's like, how much time do you have for me to explain to you why I do this thing?
Yeah. Can I say one thing that I do recommend about bedtime now? I don't know if you even need to do this, but I think a lot about how ironically, despite my love of reading and writing and how important reading was to me as a child and how important I think is for kids, I hate reading to my kids at bedtime. I just hate it. It is just like the thing I'm too tired to do. I'd rather walk 2 miles than read to my kids for 20 minutes. And I do read, not to them.
Not as like a team sport.
No, but now we do what you could consider parallel play, but it's parallel reading where you are welcome to sit next to me in bed and we will read to each other. And so
I have been looking forward to reading to my children since I was like 12 and I love it. But there's also nights, again, like any notion of me gentle parenting is clearly gone out the window. Nights when I'm like, nope, I'm too fucking tired. They're like, but we left on a cliffhanger. I'm like, it'll still be a cliffhanger until tomorrow. Yeah. When if you go to bed in less than 45 minutes, we might have time to fucking read. But when we get to, and I'm up for it, oh man, I love it. We're currently doing the most recent Wild Robot Protects, a sequel to The House by the Cerulean Sea I think it's called Somewhere Beyond the Sea. And those are fucking fantastic books.
I got a book based on a 13-year-old girl's recommendation. She thinks every 13-year-old boy should read it, called The Prettiest. And it's a book about a list that goes around the school ranking girls in terms of attraction. And my friend's daughter said, I think every boy should read this. So I'm going to see if I can read him one more chapter to entice him. He's meh so far, but we'll see.
Is he like, I'm going to start a list and pass it around the school? Head to notrightnow.show for more, or send us feedback, questions, horror stories, doxing, whatever it is, at questions@notrightnow.show.